Well, look, I remind you of a short story to read, The Day of the Locusts, and it was about a funeral in Hollywood in the 1920s or 30s. There's a great deal of simple celebrity worship here of people wanting to see celebrities. They could care less about Michael Jackson because they might see a skirt that flopped down on Sunset Boulevard on crack, for example. You know what I'm saying? They may get an opportunity to see one of the Sunset Boulevard sluts going by in a car, and God only knows what they'll get out of that. So there's a lot of that. Read The Day of the Locust. I think it was written by Nathaniel West, if I am not mistaken. I'll have to check on it. My memory may or may not fail me. It is not something I carry around. All about worship of false idols.
Savage. The Savage Nation.
Download the podcast at 910knew.com.
It is the Savage Nation. I hope we can get through this tonight. In the ordinary course of events, we're talking about an entertainer who died, who was unknown about a month ago, who was suddenly elevated to the status of an icon, an idol, and the American people who have an intelligence level above a certain amount cannot believe this. They're stunned by it. Because I can guarantee you that even amongst the hordes that are there, they probably forgot him as near as a month ago. They didn't even know who he was. It's astounding to me that you don't understand that the media did this to you. There are many reasons for it, some commercial, some to help Obama, some simply because they like to do the lazy thing and it's easy for ratings. If you can get many, many people who basically have nothing else to do but watch television to continue to watch your channel, you show a gold coffin and they watch longer and your ratings go up. It's as simple as that. That's my opinion. What's yours? WOR New York calls, the Savage Nation. Dan in New York, welcome to the program. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I don't think you have a racist bone in your body, sir, and I don't blame you for caring about the Fox more. That's your opinion. I just want to say a couple of years ago, Luciano Pavarotti left us, and you played some of his music and honored him as a great artist. I just don't understand why you're denigrating those who want to honor this man as a great artist.
Well, but what does one thing have to do with another? Why would you elevate a great artist to the level of a national icon is the question, and why would the entire country come to a standstill for a great artist, if he is a great artist, which I doubt?
Well, the media is responsible for that, and I do agree with you that they're out of control on this issue. But I think most of rational Americans...
How could you call him a great artist? How could you rank him as a great artist?
Made phenomenal music, and you don't agree with that, and that's fine. But I believe he was a tremendous, freakishly great dancer and a wonderful singer, and he made great songs that totally transformed the culture of this country.
Wait, hold on. Don't get carried away if you don't mind. He transformed what culture? Which part of the culture? Which demographic of the culture? You want to get down to the reality of what you're saying? I mean, the whole country worshipped his singing and dancing?
Not the whole country necessarily, but metaphorically, the songs that he created, the music.
Well, I would like to know, explain this to me, help me with this. My children were children in the 80s. They never brought home a Michael Jackson CD or record. Why?
Because
they had some of them had AC/DC I found in the drawer. I found other music. I never found the Michael Jackson cut piece. Why is that if he was so great?
Because they didn't take to his music, and that's fine.
All right, fine. So therefore he has a limited audience, a certain demographic. I wouldn't elevate him to the level of a great musician or a great performer. He was probably a very skilled performer, but he was not in the category of a great one.
People bought the Thriller record than any record in the history of mankind.
Again, you're going back to numbers again. So by numbers alone, you now fall into the category of a blind worshiper because he sold a lot of records?
I'm not a blind worshiper. He sold a lot of records because people bought the records.
But why does that make it great?
I believe in my...
Well, a lot of people voted for Obama. Does that make him a great president already?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last comment.
I said a lot of people voted for Obama. Does that make him already a great president?
No, and I don't think he is a great president.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So just by numbers, you can't come to a conclusion.
It has to do with opinion. I believe he was a great musical
All right,
artist.
so it has to do with opinion. So you actually carry around his music and listen to it in your iPod?
I have some of his music. When I was a young man, I really, really was a big fan of it.
I'm not going to try to take that away from you. That's not the point of today's show. I'm trying to do a relative ranking, for example, of him as an entertainer, and certainly of him as an icon. I don't believe he's a great icon. I don't believe he's an iconic figure, and I'm putting his flaws aside.
And that's fine. But what I'm commenting on, you call the people who are at the Staples Center of a low IQ like they're stupid. They're not all stupid. They just love this guy's music.
Really? How come they didn't remember him as near as a month ago?
I think a lot of them did, but when someone dies, people remember, because he's
I don't know. How old are you, Dan? Come on, you're pulling my leg.
I love you, man. You're the best. I just disagree with you on this.
All right. As I said, we don't have to be angry. How about this? Play Duke Ellington's Take the A Train for Dan. I want to hear what Dan has to say. Dan, listen to this piece of music. Come on. All right, let's stop right there. Dan, you can feel the train shuttling down the tracks, can't you?
Absolutely. That's
all right, hold on. Now play Jimi Hendrix All Along the Watchtower. Let's hear this. Tell me what you feel, Dan. Do you feel like you're stoned standing inside the Diamond Head Arena on mescaline or something in 1969? I mean, what do you feel, Dan?
Jimi Hendrix is one of my favorite artists of all time.
When I hear Jimi Hendrix, I think of Cooler Onions. And don't ask me why. I could give you the answer, but you'll never believe it. Dan, no, seriously, when I hear Jimi Hendrix All Along the Watchtower or Purple Haze, I think of Cooler Onions. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because at that time in my life, I was living in Hawaii, and Jimi Hendrix lived in Kula, which is up on Mount Haleakala, and Kula happens to be a great place for growing onions. They're very sweet onions.
You're a Buddhist.
So I associate Jimi Hendrix with great onions. What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that, but don't tell me he wasn't freakishly great on the guitar.
He was, but he was not an American icon on the level of Abraham Lincoln.
I don't think Michael Jackson was an icon of that stature.
Thank God. That's all I'm saying. Yet he's getting the same treatment as a president who died.
All right, but in terms of music, which is
all right, Dan, I think we can go away and split the difference here and not be angry at each other. If you're so intelligent that you can follow me and love me and still like Michael Jackson, then I love you.
You're the man.
Hey, Dan, what do you think about my Fox story?
I think your Fox story's great. Listen, I understand that. I totally respect it.
I'm telling you, look, the truth is that the mother crying and barking in the night for her baby who had been hauled away in the truck, half dead, that was going to be euthanized, and her not knowing it, the call of the wild went right through my heart. I became atavistically sad by that bark of the fox. You know, as soon as this show is over, the time on the East Coast is 20 minutes to 8. It's 20 minutes to 5 on the West Coast, and, of course, the times in between are what you know them to be. As soon as this show is over, I'm going to actually go for a walk on a beach with a bottle of beer in my hand. So, trust me, at the end of the show, I could care less about Michael Jackson and the funeral, to be honest with you. I don't care one way or the other. I think it's a delusion, and I think it's a mark of the media's control of the popular mind. So what more can I say about it? I mean, what more can I say about it? Is there anything more to be said that I didn't say already today? Here's another story. All right, here's something more to be said. Okay. Apparently, so many House staffers are watching the MJ Memorial this afternoon on their computers that the offices in Washington, D.C. closed. They crashed the computer system in our government. All the offices closed this afternoon, and the halls are empty. They're all watching it. All the interns, all of the morons who run our government, day by day, the idiots who you put in office and their assistants, crashed their computers watching the the Michael Jackson Memorial. They all were in tears. He was not a civil rights leader. I mean, if he was a civil rights leader, you could say, all right, excellent, he did something for society. He wasn't a civil rights leader. The guy was a stone freak, mutilated himself surgically, tried to become white-skinned, played with boys. You want to go down the list? I mean, all of us are flawed. You understand that? So let's forget his personal flaws. He's just an entertainer. That's all he is. Period. End of story. Well, what is Obama doing in Russia is the real issue. What is Obama giving away in Russia? Well, let's start with yesterday. He offered to give up 1/3 of our nuclear weapons at a time when we need more nuclear weapons, not fewer. Why would he do that? Why is he giving up nuclear weapons at a time like this when Russia and China are increasingly shall I say, militant, if not militaristic. Why would he do this? Why is he taking apart our military at the joints? And why is that not a huge story? I mean, you can pretty much figure it out. And one day you're liable to wake up and we will be relatively defenseless, and we will be putty in the hands of really bad people. Let me tell you. Larry in Fort Lauderdale, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Good evening. It's the feminization of our society. It's the same reason that Oprah Winfrey is relevant, same reason American Idol is as popular as it is. It's the same reason that Barack Obama got elected. George Barnum has just written a book on his research about young adults and how they base their decisions purely on emotions, no more logic, and it's the parents' fault because they haven't taught their children, are going to have emotions as they're growing up,